ನಾವು ಹಾಡನ್ನು ಹಾಡಿಕೊಳ್ಳೋಣ. ನಿಮಗೆಲ್ಲರೂ ಬರುವುದಾದರೆ ನೀವು ನನ್ನ ಜೊತೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಸೇರಿ ಹಾಡಬೇಕೆಂಬುದಾಗಿ ನಾನು ನಿಮ್ಮನ್ನು ಕೇಳ್ಕೊಳ್ತೇನೆ. ಮಹಿಮೆ ನಿನಗಯ್ಯ, ಮಹತ್ವ ನಿನಗಯ್ಯ, ಘನವು ಸ್ತುತಿಯ ಸ್ತೋತ್ರವು ಎಂದೆಂದೂ ನಿನಗಯ್ಯ, ಆರಾಧನೆ ಆರಾಧನೆ ನನ್ನಾಪ್ತ ಯೇಸುವೆ. ಬರುವುದಾದರೆ ನೀವೆಲ್ಲರೂ ನನ್ನ ಜೊತೆ ಸೇರಿ ಆಡಬೇಕೆಂಬುದಾಗಿ ಕೇಳ್ಕೊಳ್ತೇನೆ. ಮಹಿಮೆ ನಿನಗಯ್ಯ, ಮಹತ್ವ ನಿನಗಯ್ಯ, ಘನವು ಸ್ತುತಿಯು ಸ್ತೋತ್ರವು ಎಂದೆಂದು ನಿನಗಯ್ಯ, ಘನವು ಸ್ತುತಿಯು ಸ್ತೋತ್ರವು ಎಂದೆಂದು ನಿನಗಯ್ಯ, ಆರಾಧನೆ 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 ನನ್ನಾಪ್ತ ಯೇಸುವೆ, ನನ್ನಾಪ್ತ ಯೇಸುವೆ. ಮಹಿಮೆ ನಿನಗಯ್ಯ, ಮಹತ್ವ ನಿನಗಯ್ಯ, ಘನವು ಸ್ತುತಿಯು ಸ್ತೋತ್ರವು ಎಂದೆಂದು ನಿನಗಯ್ಯ. ಅತಿ ಶ್ರೇಷ್ಠವಾದ ನಿನ್ನ ರಕ್ತದಿಂದ ನನ್ನನ್ನು ಬೇಡಿಸಿದೆ, ಅರಸನಾಗಿ ಯಾಜಕರಾಗಿ ನಿಮಗೆಂದೇ ಆರಿಸಿದೆ. ಅತಿ ಶ್ರೇಷ್ಠವಾದ ನಿನ್ನ ರಕ್ತದಿಂದ ನಮ್ಮನ್ನು ಬೇಡಿಸಿದೆ, ಅರಸನಾಗಿ ಯಾಜಕರಾಗಿ ನಮಗೆಂದು ಆರಿಸಿದೆ. ಮಹಿಮೆ ನಿನಗಯ್ಯ, ಮಹತ್ವ ನಿನಗಯ್ಯ, ಘನವು ಸ್ತುತಿಯು ಸ್ತೋತ್ರವು ಎಂದೆಂದು ನಿನಗಯ್ಯ, ಘನವು ಸ್ತುತಿಯು ಸ್ತೋತ್ರವು ಎಂದೆಂದು ನಿನಗಯ್ಯ. ದಾರಿಯ ದೀಪ ಜೊತೆಗಾರ ನೀನೆ, ಸಂತೈಸುವ ಕರ್ತನೇ, ಬಲ ಪ್ರೀತಿಯಿಂದ ನನ್ನನ್ನು ತುಂಬು ಅಭಿಷಕ್ತನಾಥನೇ. ದಾರಿಯ ದೀಪ ಜೊತೆಗಾರ ನೀನೆ, ಸಂತೈಸುವ ಕರ್ತನೇ, ಬಲ ಪ್ರೀತಿಯಿಂದ ನನ್ನನ್ನು ತುಂಬು ಅಭಿಷಕ್ತನಾಥನೇ. ಮಹಿಮೆ ನಿನಗಯ್ಯ, ಮಹತ್ವ ನಿನಗಯ್ಯ, ಘನವು ಸ್ತುತಿಯು ಸ್ತೋತ್ರವು ಎಂದೆಂದು ನಿನಗಯ್ಯ, ಘನವು ಸ್ತುತಿಯು ಸ್ತೋತ್ರವು ಎಂದೆಂದು ನಿನಗಯ್ಯ. ಎಂದೆಂದು ಇರುವ ಇನ್ಮುಂದೆ ಬರುವ ನನ್ನ ರಾಜನೇ, ನನ್ನ ನಿನ್ನಾಮ ಸಾಕು, ನಿನ್ನ ರಾಜ ಬೇಕು, ನಿಂಚಿತ್ತ ಆಗಬೇಕು. ಎಂದೆಂದು ಇರುವ ಇನ್ಮುಂದೆ ಬರುವ ನಮ್ಮ ರಾಜನೇ, ನಿನ್ನಾಮ ಸಾಕು ನಿನ್ ರಾಜ ಬೇಕು ನಿನ್ ಚಿತ್ತ ಆಗಬೇಕು ಮಹಿಮೆ ನಿನಗಯ್ಯ ಮಹತ್ವ ನಿನಗಯ್ಯ ಘನವು ಸ್ತುತಿಯು ಸ್ತೋತ್ರವು ಎಂದೆಂದು.
Luke, but not in Mark. Where is Bethlehem? Where are the shepherds? Where is the angels? Nothing. John is the Logos. There is no contradiction. We are not saying that. But the way they understood Jesus and the way they were presenting to Jesus is very different. It is very true of us today. I am preaching in Andrews. I was serving in Tumkur area. That was a different audience I had to cater to. Even sometimes I am joking here, I said this Scottish tradition, Anglican, idella namuge theriyadpa idella, I keep telling them. It's a new thing for me. Because this is the way we sit, the way we talk. We have a mission field in Tugere, in Dodballapur. 90% of them do not read and write. They are going to the villages and agricultural laborers. I cannot preach the way I am preaching here. I have to be even more simple. You get my point? So, the same thing, teaching material in Matthew is different, and then the parables. That is the answer. I hope that means it. If you are not happy, you can tell me. Okay, stop. So, we are back. Thank you for that. Now, I said these are the 5 points. So, friends, today I am making a suggestion, which I did with Andrews Men's Solutions. The parables are stories of equality. Jesus was telling these parables particularly with the purpose of ಸಮಾನತೆಯ ಕಥನಗಳಾಗಿ, ಬರೀ ಕಥೆಗಳಲ್ಲ. ಅದರಿಂದ ಈ ಸಂಡೇ ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ ಕಥೆಯಿಂದ ನಾವು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಮೇಲೆ ಬರಬೇಕು. ಸಂಡೇ ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ ಕಥೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಇರಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯತೆ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಇಟ್ಸ್ ನೈಸ್ ಟು ಬಿ ಇನ್ ಸಂಡೇ ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ ಆಲ್ವೇಸ್, ನೋ, ವಿ ಆಲ್ ಮಿಸ್ ದಟ್, ಬಟ್ ವಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ರಿಮೇನ್ ಇನ್ ಸಂಡೇ ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಆಸ್ ವಿ ಗ್ರೋ ಅಪ್ ವಿ ಸಿ, ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಐ ಆಮ್ ಟೆಲಿಂಗ್ ಒನ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ಇಶ್ಯೂಸ್ both for Jesus and for us is equality. So, these are the 5 points. Anything else? Anybody want to ask? Anything you're not happy? Anything? Enna kelvirka? Anything you want to ask? Questions? Doubts? Prashnegalu? Telugu? Anybody's only Telugu? Malayalam? Telugu? Oh. Adagandi, no problem. Telugu la adagala. Malayalam? Anybody? Malayalam? Okay, no problem. So, any feel free. I'm just telling, don't hesitate. English should not be a barrier. Our own, but I put it so that it's common for all. Okay, is it clear so far? Is it understandable? Okay. Now, the stories of equality can be, today when we read the parables, for example, they are social, they are political, definitely, inequalities. Yesterday, Father Stan is arrested, 83-year-old Jesuit priest. The news is going around, maybe we've heard, we've not heard. What does it mean for us? We are feeling sad because an 83-year-old person is, what is the dimensions around us, we do not know. So, a lot of discussion is going on. The capabilities, welfare, access to advantage, primary goods, opportunity, resources. I'm just giving some points. Friends, if you look at this, ಎಲ್ಲ ವಿಷಯಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ನಮಗೆ ಸಮಾನತೆ ಬೇಕು. We need equality in these areas. You can do a check anywhere, in church or in society. This will be relevant. There are more you can add, but these are some of the points that we are talking about. So these, for example, let's say opportunity. Some of you, anybody in professional life, in counseling, in job hiring and all that, nobody is there. If you go there, you're there? Yeah, counseling. So you know what I'm meaning. You call it as equal opportunity. What does it mean? Everybody has got an equal access to opportunity in the job place. It comes from here. So that's very important. Okay. Now, understanding the parables of Jesus, some basic things, some very basic things we'll do. The term parable is a transliteration of the Greek word parabole. That is the Greek word. It simply means comparison or something cast alongside. Parable means sammegalu andre, to compare. What is Samyak parable in Tamil? Ma? What is it? Oh my. Okay. I forgot to ask that. It signifies a comparison literally cast alongside. You compare one to other. That is a parable, basically. Meaning, Greek, that's the basic meaning. We should not think that only Old Testament has parables. When we had the service, Dr. Prasad spoke on the Old Testament parables. So, parables is not only New Testament, it is also Old Testament. And in Jewish literature also there are parables. Some examples are given. Ezekiel 17:2-10, very famous, you know that. Ezekiel 24:3-5, 1 Samuel 24:13. These are some examples which all of you are fair. Now in the New Testament, the parables there are a few here and there. I won't confuse you today, maybe next time. Mostly in the Synoptic Gospels. What is Synoptic Gospels? Why do we say Synoptic Gospels? Which are they? Matthew, Mark and Luke. So why do we call Synoptic? Some things that you have learnt already, can you help me to understand? Huh? Similar in optics. I don't understand that. Little more. Huh? Is it repetition? So why do we call it synoptic? What is the main issue for us as preachers or as teachers, as ministerial assistants? What should we know?
You're looking at the same thing from different directions.
Okay, so what is the issue? That's not an issue, no. But people are saying there is an issue. What is the issue?
The issue is of the way the person is perceiving.
Quite close.
His background has an impact on what he sees.
Quite close, still not clear. What is the basic issue? You heard about the word Q. There is a Q document that was found 6 months ago. They almost said, "Arey, this is the document that is the solution for the synoptic, synoptic problem." 6 months ago, it was all in the newspaper. So newspaper is not only about cinema stars and other things. It's also about a lot of things are there. So the Q document was found. So there we find, particularly in the, the source, where did the writer to Matthew, the writer to Luke, writer to Mark get the source from? Is there a common source? You follow me? And there are some, why I am telling all this is, as preachers, we should be careful when we do one text. In a simple Bible, you will always have parallels. Matthew, Luke, Lena parable. Please read those parallels in that gospel also. You follow me? No time. I know it's difficult. But if you have a preaching from Matthew, please, first question you have to ask is there a parallel in Mark or Luke? Very interesting it will be. One example I can give you, simple example. Baptism of Jesus. Is there a difference in the three Gospels? Or is it the same, exactly same? Yesuvina Dikshasthana. Ondena? Mattaya, Marka, Luka. One day I heard one preacher saying, all Gospel readers are agreeing on the baptism of Jesus. The only thing they agree and all that. Is there an agreement? Is the way it is presented different? Yeah. Go back home and small homework. Go back and read it carefully. And you'll be surprised to know that there are very important but subtle differences. Why I'm saying is, when we say parables in the synoptic gospels, this is what we mean. Okay. I'm also introducing, Dr. Prasad would have already mentioned, is the Gospel of Thomas. I'm bringing in an apocryphal book. You will say, I know, Pastor, why are you doing this? The canon is canon. Why are you talking about this? But why should we talk about this? Any reasons? Why should we even talk? Yak matadbeku, Tomana suwarte ಬಗ್ಗೆ yak matadbeku. There are many reasons. One or two.
To know the context also.
Yeah. Anything related to India? Thomas as an apostle coming to India. That is one reason. But that's not the important reason for me. What is the other reason? That could be one of the reasons. One question for us. But why would I still like to see it? Why is it still interesting for me? Because the parallels what are there in the synoptic gospels, you will find also very close in the Gospel of Thomas. How, when? No answers, isn't it? Yes.
Pastor, this Gospel of Thomas, it is important because it is not included in the Gospel. So, whether taking the reference of that or the importance?
No, I will not give any importance to it, but we are saying there is also a source, and where we find there are a lot of parallels. In academic circles, it's very normal for us to be introduced to it. Because, see friends, one thing we need to understand is the process of canonization took first 300 years. It's very important. Nothing is going to change. We are not here to change any canon. We are very clear. But there are writings which are closer to the time. And those writings we need to take note of. Say that there is there. There was a letter about 1 year ago, the whole world there was news. Which was that? Anything related to the apostle of Jesus? The letter of Judas. Isn't it? Why should we discuss? Why there was a lot of news? The reason is very simple. The letter of Judas is not there in the Bible. But we only know one way of why Judas, he killed himself, all that story we know from the Gospels. But did we hear the voice of Judas? We do not know why exactly that happened. So some people started becoming very curious about that. We are not saying that they should be included or not included, but it becomes very important for us to understand that this source is an important way to look at but the parallels are very, very close. Definitely Thomas becomes interesting because of coming to India. This for your academic interest. Today there are several communication from the Indian kings to the Greek kings during that time. Particularly why it becomes important for us as Indians is that Indian Christianity should not begin with the missionary Christianity. It also begins much earlier. It's very important today. We are only being seen as a missionary religion today. No. They were very early contacts during the 1st century AD, even 1st century BC, between Egypt and Greece and India. And that is, even Dr. Radhakrishnan also talks about this in his book. So I think this is very important for us to understand the broader, some broad questions. But I hope I'm clear about it. Yeah. Yeah, surely. I mean, that is true of any text, isn't it? Yeah. See, for example, we don't dare to read Song of Songs in the church. In the marriage, once I preached and they said, Pastor, why you use this text, Pastor? 1 Corinthians 13, you preach for no, why this one? It's like that, you know. So every text will have its own issues. Anyway, yeah. Yeah, sorry. Yes, brother.
How do you control synoptics? I think
Which one?
synoptics.
Yeah.
Why do we call it as synoptics?
I said the synoptic is, what does synoptic mean?
It's a view of the same thing from different directions.
Yeah.
So you say
But there the issue for us is that I said is a source. Not calling it synoptic is not, that's a common, means Matthew, Mark, Luke, there are a lot of, not everything. There are common. For example, the Lord's Prayer is in Matthew and Luke. Why not in Mark? We don't know. You get my point? Or the Sermon on the Mount in detail. Of course, we have the shorter version of it. But what Gandhiji liked, we have only in Matthew. He liked it very much. Like that. So I'm just saying. But the source becomes a very crucial issue for us. Friends, we have to understand that the first 300 years, it took for the New Testament that we have today as a canon, 27 books, it took first 300 years. So those 300 years, what happened is really the hand of God. It's a mystery in one way, but we also find God's work during that time. That's very important. I firmly believe in that. Okay, we have parables in 4 versions. Now I'm coming straight to the parables because of the time. We have in synoptics, it's Matthew, Mark, Luke, and Gospel of Thomas. Whether we want to take Gospel of Thomas, we want to leave it up. Means there are parables in all the 4 versions, right? I won't go into the details. We have in 3 versions, Matthew, Luke, and Gospel of Thomas. 2 versions, Matthew and Luke. And then unique parables in Luke, which I'm referring to today, especially Good Samaritan, Fig Tree, Father and 2 Sons. Very popular ones are in Luke. Why? That we are going to try to understand today. You follow me, no? So these we have to take note of when we study the parables. Okay, but just before. Any questions on that? Any is clear? Okay. Now, we need a new reading of the Bible from the social sciences. I come from social sciences, sociology, because I think it bridges the social and cultural gap between the text and the communities of readers. Who are the communities of readers? We. I'm not saying reader. I'm not saying, pastor. I'm not saying ministerial assistant. I think we all belong to the communities of readers. Agreed? Any doubts on that? Do you think it's important? That means when we go back, when we read with our church members, when we read with our men's fellowship or women's fellowship or Sunday school, they're all communities of readers for us. So it helps us to bridge this gap between the text and the communities of readers. Friends, anybody can belong to a community of readers, not only in the church. You know that in your school assemblies, when somebody is reading the Bible, they also belong to the community of readers. So please, we should be very careful. Now, what are the possibilities for us as ministerial assistants? I'm being very specific now. Preaching from the parables. Don't hesitate to preach from the parables. And the almanac, we are given 3 texts Sunday morning, correct? All of us are following the almanac? Yeah? Why an almanac is important? Or why is it not important? When you preach on Sunday morning, why is it necessary for you and me to be connected with what is happening in your church? Otherwise, what will happen? Let's say tomorrow morning I stand up and I talk about, let's say, baptism by fire suddenly. What is going to happen? What's going to happen to the community of readers? Huh? Yes, Rufus? What may happen to them? Suddenly, if every Sunday somebody comes up, what is there in the almanac? What do you think is the sequence? Let's take Lent. From Lent, what happens after that? After Lent, after Easter? What is the seasonal thing? What is the link? Jesus is crucified, he is dead, he is buried, he is risen. Yeah. Then, what are the other doctrinal things that we hear in the church or we have to preach? Why is it connected? Father, Son. Yeah. So, friends, we are not doing everything simply for the sake of it. There is a reason even in the almanac. Why I am saying this is, when you are preparing to preach in your local church or you are called to other churches, your responsibility is, and my responsibility is, that to find out what has been preached or what has been done. Preaching from a free text is not a bad idea. I am for it. But your community of readers may not be inclined to that. So in your local church or whichever church you preach or teach, it's very important. So preaching from the parables, very important. Teaching the parables, I'm again saying the ministerial assistance is not only a preaching ministry, it's also a teaching ministry. Please expand your horizon of ministries in your churches. This is very important. Bible study series, I tried this and I must tell it has been a great blessing in Andrews. We did a 12-week series. both physical, and then COVID started, we did online. In the men's fellowship, about 40, 45 of us were gathering. Online, definitely it is almost the same. So today also we are, but now we finished, and I'm doing Book of Revelation. So we finished 12 parables in Luke as stories of equality. Only one lens I did. It was a real enriching time for me, personally, a time of learning and a discussion and a lot of questions we had. Why can't you be a Bible study leader in your church? Why only a preacher with the director's thing, I'm throwing open questions. To expand the ministry is very important. Because for pastors, for me, to be part of every fellowship is almost impossible. In Andrews, it is not possible at all. And as a pastor, I should not think. That's the problem with some of us. We tend to think we can do everything. We can't. That's why I'm saying your role becomes important, but think of Bible study series or regular thing. Mission engagement. I say community of new disciples. There are a lot of new believers coming into our churches. So we can start, or you have a mission field. Are any of you involved in mission fields in your churches? Anybody? One? I'm very happy, sir. Only one. See, that means you have not thought about your engagement outside your church. I want to challenge you today. I'm very happy sir is involved. If your church is involved in a mission field or outreach work, can't you be there? Can't you go? Can't I go? You must. Why should we think only sharing the space with the pastor is the privilege of the ministerialist? Not necessary. I'm also going to the mission field. We have to be involved. Only that will teach us. We have to be, I should go outside Andrews. Only then I will know what is happening to different communities of readers. So, I would request you, think about these different involvements or possibilities. Why I said for community of new disciples, when you teach parables, they understand very easily. It's like a story. Anybody will understand. And you can use it very well. Good. Now we come to the parables in Luke, stories of equality. I'm being very specific. We do Luke 14, 15 to 24. We'll do a specific parable today, and then I'll close and see how we can study this through these points. I would request one of you to read it aloud. Luke 14, 15 to 24.
One of the men sitting at table heard this. He said to Jesus, "How happy those who will sit down at the feast in the kingdom of God." Jesus said to him, "There was once a man who was giving a great feast to which he invited many people. When it was time for the feast, he sent a servant to tell his guests, 'Come, everything is ready.' But they all began, one after another, to make excuse. The first one told the servant, 'I have bought a field and must go and look at it. Please accept my apologies.' Another one said, 'I have bought 5 pairs of oxen and am on my way to try them out. Please accept my apologies.' Another one said, 'I have just got married, and for that reason I cannot come.' The servant went back and told all this to his master. The master was furious and said to his servant, 'Hurry up to the streets and alley of the town and bring the maid soon.' The servant said, 'The order has been carried out, sir, but there is room for more.' So the master said to the servant, 'Go out to the country roads and lanes and make people come in, so that my house will be full. I tell you, all that none of those men who were invited will taste my dinner.'"
Yeah, thank you. Very familiar parable, isn't it? Now, can it become a story of equality? Very common for us, right? And, in our functions, marriage functions, our other celebrations, the same thing. That's why I said the parables of Jesus can become stories of equality for today. It has got a great potential. The only thing is we must hear it. Okay, we'll make some points. The one thing could be, usually we call it as the great banquet or great dinner, if you want to say. You can say the great excuses. Why I'm trying to tell this is, parables, we normally tend to think with a fixed title. Something is fixed, Good Samaritan, the fig tree, something like that. So what you can start doing is giving it a new title. This title is not something that we should not rethink, isn't it? We think that it's all fixed. That means our mind about the story and the character of the story is already fixed. Parable of the Good Samaritan means we are fixed already. Everything is clear. No. We must be able to think. The great excuses could be one of the title. Okay. Now, parables of Luke, again, stories of equality. In the Gospels, the notion of a parable clearly encompasses, I'm coming back to what I said earlier, it can be an enigmatic saying, a metaphor or a figurative saying, expanded story, allegory, moral story, parabolic action, these are also in Jesus cleansed the temple. Means they're all figurative. Sometimes, why these parables people don't, it's all in very, figures or, allegories or something. It's not very clear. Why didn't Jesus straight away say, this is the thing? But that's the beauty of it. That's why, we need. But the reason I believe is, which brother was talking earlier, is that the inequality was certainly very high during the time of Jesus. And I'm sure that Jesus was not in a position to openly talk about this. Therefore, probably he used the parables to talk about this. Now, Jesus used the simple down-to-earth stories to make his message of the kingdom to accessible to the ordinary Galilean peasant of the day. Why Jesus told this? You may be surprised when how many of you have been to Israel? Holy Land Tour. Did you observe very carefully, I don't know if they took you to the vineyards and the farms and all. Who are the workers there? You didn't observe. You went to they took you to different places. The fields and vineyard, grapes are all grown. Who are the people working over there?
The community of Jews who live as groups.
No, they are not. That's a beautiful thing about it. You'll be surprised to know, when some of the parables we talk about, the laborers and vineyards, even today, the people working are the Palestinians. They are the Palestinians, not the Jews. The Jews are the owners and the masters. You'll be very surprised to know. I was very, very curious. I asked the guide again and again. And even till today, if you go, anybody future also goes, please observe, ask your guide to go to the farms. Why I'm telling is, Jesus was not with the rich landlords. Jesus was the peasant poor. Please, that is a very important thing I think we are forgetting again and again. The ministry of Jesus was among the poor peasants and agricultural workers, and who are lepers and beggars and all that. I'm not saying Jesus did not interact. You can say Joseph of Arimathea, who even gave the place for the burial of Jesus, would be a prominent person. Or even Nicodemus, a prominent religious leader. Okay, there are conversations. Nathaniel also to some extent. Some of them. But mostly, if you see, you will find, and Jesus was teaching them. The 5,000 people of the feeding, you think the rich would come and sit like that? No. They were hungry. The fig tree, everything, the cleansing of the temple. ಹೆಚ್ಚಾಗಿ ಯೇಸುವಿನ ಸೇವೆ ಬಡ ಜನರ, ಸಾಮಾನ್ಯ ಜನರ, ವ್ಯವಸಾಯ ಮಾಡುವಂಥ ಜನರ ಮಧ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿತ್ತು. So he was trying to, and the same way, they demand a decision from us. Okay, we move on. I said Jesus was a storyteller. Some of you have come late. I want to repeat again. He told stories because there was growing inequality during his time. Like today, if you take the 2000 years lens, what has remained the same is inequality. That is very clear for us. Now, our parables in Luke can be an interesting study for you. in your own churches or whatever, online, whatever you're doing, through the lens of equality, to see where there is equality. Now we're studying the parables in Luke because they're unique and they're located in a broad social and cultural context. To brother's question, Matthew is more specifically to the Jews, but not Luke. Luke and Acts is always presenting Jesus as a universal Messiah to everybody. That is the point. We are studying them because they're relevant to our own context. Friends, you start reading the parables for our context, you will see the beauty of it, that how relevant they become. Okay? Good. Now, while India is one of the fastest growing economies in the world, it's also one of the most unequal countries in the world. I hope your recent statistics you have read. India will be one of the most places where inequality will be the highest in the world. Now, Professor Himanshu from JNU, Jawaharlal Nehru University, he says, what is particularly worrying in India's case is that economic inequality is being added to a society that is already fractured along the lines of caste, religion, region and gender. Already we are divided. Plus you add economic inequality. The number of people who are going to be poor will only become more. Just think of what I'm saying. The number of people who are going to be and become poor will only increase in the coming years. Because wealth will be more and more concentrated in a few. So the inequality is definitely very high. And India is, and please, I think Professor Himanshu's statement is very important. We are already fractured, and therefore, why I said this is, friends, as Indian churches, Indian Christians, how a Westerner read will be very different from you and I will be reading the Bible. And this is the reason for that. Because the caste, religion, region and gender all together, put together, is very rare to find in any other country. Plus economic inequality. I'm not saying there are no issues in other countries, especially in Africa, but I think India, and most people say, is very unique. That's why the parables become very important for us. Now, the parable, we come to some points. If you want to read it this way, I'm just making a suggestion. The people in the story. How do you read a parable? You can say the people in the story. The parables of Jesus are stories of people revolving around the people, social, cultural life. We have the host, the invited guests, uninvited guests, and the slave. You get my point? You can read a parable through the characters, through the people there. The host, important. Comfortable person. Today if you read, and when you invite somebody. Invited guests, some of our clubs, only invited people can go. Uninvited guests. Is it a nice feeling to be an uninvited guest? Is it a nice feeling? Yes or no? Hey, Chuma, you're going there. Come. Please come. Some food is remaining. You also have. How will it feel? Rather to say, tomorrow is my birthday, my function. Please come. How does it sound? Yeah? That is what is the story about. And the slave. Why I am pointing out to the slave is, slavery is not a very nice system then and today. Do we have slavery today? How many of you think slavery is not there? Slavery கிடையாது. இருக்கா இல்லையா? Where? The figures will be very, very staggering for you. It's more than 140 million. Whether you take brick workers, bonded laborers, in North Karnataka, this sheep rearing is there. That is also a kind of slavery. Anyway, I'll not go into that. Why I'm telling is why reading of the parables becomes contemporary. Slavery was there during time of Jesus. Is it there today? Immediately we'll say, no. That was, Bible is 2000 years old. Why should we read? That's the interesting thing. You start reading, it is for today. All these things. Okay. Parallels in context. I said parables are parallels in context. Original context, double invitation, food and meals, social gatherings. What I'm meaning by this? What is original context? Were people gathering together during the time of Jesus? Was there food and meals? Was there? Yeah. It's very much cultural, no? It's a very Asian context. People gathering, eating together. Social gatherings. Weddings. Jesus did the sign of Cana of Galilee. Contemporary context. Double invitation. Food and meals. Social. Is it there today? What is the difference? Do we have gatherings today? Is food and meals important in gatherings? Will it indicate something? Can all of us afford a 5-star hotel wedding? All of us here can afford a 5-star wedding? 7-star, 3-star? Can all of us say that in our gatherings there will be so many kinds of food? Are there simple gatherings today also in churches? Why I'm telling all this? Please listen very carefully. We have a 1,000 gathering also. In the same church we will have a 50 gathering also. Correct? Yes or no? If you're invited, where will you choose to go? Generally, where will you choose to go? Where will I choose to go as a pastor? Dr. Prasad and me, we should talk. Where will we choose to go? Where I'm respected, where I'm, honored, where I'm given a very big reception, even a car is sent. It will make me happy, generally. What it make me? I'm telling him for myself. But there are also gatherings where we will not even have the time we'll say we don't have time. Because we have a lot of programs and functions in Andrews, I can tell you. That is exactly the context, friend. That's why I say parallels in context. If you have to read the story today in the text, what would you say? Guests are invited, some cannot come, so others are invited. Same story. I'm just giving you one example. Like this, if you start reading the parables, you will find very close parallels. This is what we have to read. Yeah. Yes, you invite once, some people don't come. You invite somebody. That's what I said in the beginning. You invite others. Your food is going to get wasted. What to do? That's why we have to call. Yaran koopudungappa. Yarar irukkranga koopudung. Call karirappa. Ellarnu kariri. Daril irovrilla kariri. Modlu kardiralla. First we will not think about them. That's the story. First we have to think about them. That's what Jesus is saying. Because there is inequality there outside in the margins. Now only invite them. Yes, Rufus.
The subtitles of each of those is exactly the same. Is there any difference at all between the original?
No, I'm just giving a parallel to demonstrate. There may be differences you can make, but I'm saying to show how it is exactly the parallel. There may be definitely other things, but if you read it, it's fascinating to see in 2020, nothing much has changed. You tell me if it has changed. There are privileged guests and there are not so privileged guests. There are privileged gatherings, there are not so privileged gatherings. I was telling Dr. Prasad sometime, I become very uncomfortable to go to a very privileged gathering as a pastor. I would rather stay here. I would not like, I feel very, very uncomfortable. But rather to go somewhere where there is even a simple food and have a real celebration. That would be real celebration for me. Very honestly. The parallels are the same, I'm saying, Rufus. Who we are and our social status. Is food important? Does it say something? How we eat together? Yes, it is. Maybe in cities we don't see much. In rural areas it is still very important. With whom I eat, how I eat, all that matters. What kind of food I eat, everything matters. And it mattered during the time of Jesus. There are a lot of studies about that. Okay. Now, Points for equality. What are the points we can take? Now, original intention of the host to invite people of equal social and economic standing. Probably he was a Jew and invited. Now we have to read the story, isn't it? The story says he invited guests, probably invited people of equal social standing. Why a Jew would normally invite a Jew? What are the reasons you think? Why would a Jew normally invite a Jew?
Economically equal.
Okay. Is that the only reason? What?
One of the reasons.
Very good. Very good.
Others were considered inferior.
That's okay. Think a little more deeply. Why?
Considered as a upper.
Yeah. And what is the food a Jew will eat? Any kind of food, any kind of meat?
They have a particular kind of.
Do purity laws apply?
Yes. All days.
619 laws apply to the Jews. Simple. So, in the way we eat, how we eat, all that. So, non-Jews, naturally you are not invited. So, a non-Jew will eat any portion of the meat, but a Jew will not eat. So, there you go. It starts there, isn't it? Invited guests give excuses. Excuses are cultural ways to share honor and accept equality. We give excuses, no? Ayo, your function I cannot come. I've got something very important that day. I really do not want to go. Is excuses very cultural? Very cultural to our context? Any of you give excuses? Nepa? Nepa ಹೇಳ್ತಿರಲ್ಲ? ಹೇಳಲ್ವಾ? ಯಾರು ಹೇಳಲ್ವಾ? So after becoming ministerial assistants, you all become very good. Nobody gives excuses. Think for a minute. Each one of you at some point, that includes me, would have given an excuse for some gathering or the other. Because we are not comfortable, we don't want to go, the person is not of our equal social standing, we don't go. Yes or no? ಆಮವ ಇಲ್ಯಾ ರಂಡುಕು ಒಂದು ಚೊಲ್ಲೋದಿಲ್ಲ. The key reason for the excuse that the host sent his slave to invite the guests. Who is sent? The slave is sent to invite the guests. Mic bedwa? Oh, okay. I won't use the mic. Who is sent? The slave. When wedding cards are given to us, if the servant of the house or the driver comes, what will say? Can you? Yaradru, somebody comes to give their wedding card, what will you say? Hey, why are you come? Where is your person? Where is the parents? Of course, today we send by WhatsApp and all that. Still, some people are very particular about how they are invited. Yes or no? Be honest. That's the story. Who was sent? Slave was sent. That's why the Jews, the dominant people, did not come. Because slave cannot be equal to a Jew. There is inequality. You are a slave. You have to be there. And in the time of Jesus, it was very bad. Culturally, a person of unequal standing cannot extend an invitation during the time of Jesus. If you are not equal to a person, you cannot extend the invitation. I cannot invite you actually. Correct? Today also, is it same? We'll think of some very big weddings and other things. You will not be invited. You may be belonging to a church, member of St. Andrew's Church. Yes, Sunday after Sunday we may meet, be in the Sunday school and youth, but we will not invite them. Correct? In your own churches, possible? Yes or no? So these are some of the points for equality. The way we can read during the time of Jesus and ours. Okay, Rakshita. Some more points. Jesus was telling a story of inequality, unequal distribution of food. Food was unequal. Like today. I hope you are aware of it. One of the greatest sources of inequality is food today. That's why during the Agape program, I'm sure all your churches did, we did a simple grocery distribution. We called the Agape program. Because we felt in the COVID and afterwards, people are not going to have food. And this is real. I know it as a pastor, I've experienced it, and that's very important. Jesus was also telling a story how we give excuse if you do not want to identify with the poor and the marginalized. You do not want to identify with somebody, but Jesus was identifying with the poor and the marginalized. Somebody who is not important, somebody who is at the margins, to identify with them is what Jesus is telling us. It's not a good feeling. To identify with the rich is a great feeling, right? But to identify with the poor is what Jesus is saying. Let us think of times when we have given excuse to invite people home to share a meal or wasted food, or not thinking of the poor, crippled, blind and the lame. Think of a wedding function and how much food is wasted. Just think. Church functions, very important. Therefore, the parable is not a great banquet, but a parable of great excuses which celebrates inequality and not equality. These excuses, culturally, when we read, unfortunately or fortunately, India, our culture is very close to us culturally. In the West, they will say honestly, West, I will come or I will not come. Here, yes, I will come. Whatever, Barthin. And then we will not come. Then we will call and say, I'm sorry, we could not. But there may be deeper reasons. And I think that's why we have to read it that way. Okay? Yeah. Friends, I'll stop here because I think I've exceeded the time. 11:30 was my time. So, any questions or clarifications? Yes, brother. Let me just summarize quickly. I said that the parables, there are different things we can study about Jesus, but the parables could be one of the effective ways of teaching and leading people. And I want to read it with the lens of equality, and I think what the parallel is of Jesus' parables and our time is the growing sense of inequality, which is going to increase in the coming days. And culturally and socially, the parables become very close to our cultural context. And I think the social sciences help us very well to come close to the our own context very carefully. So I hope that with this reading, we said it's not a parable of great banquet or great dinner, but it's a parable of great excuses. Friends, next time we give an excuse for not being with the poor, for not being with the marginalized, and I as a pastor, for not being with somebody who is not important, I think you and I should be reminded. It may make somebody who is poor, somebody who is so very important, because the dignity of the person is very important. When you sit in an auto rickshaw, when the maid comes home, when the security is at the gate, they're all very important people. We may not even look at their face, One day, I'm just close with that story. I was visiting an apartment for prayer, and that I visited the home and I was coming down, and I thanked the security and just said for allowing me inside during this time and all that, and asked his name and where he came from and all that. And he was so happy. He was almost in tears. And next to me was the person whom I visited, who was staying in the flat, our own church member. And he said, Pastor, you taught me something. 5 years I've been in this flat. I never spoke to the security person so far. I will come in and go out, take the lift and go to my flat and go. I never thought that even that person is a human being like me. Very important, friends. Everybody is important today. And this pandemic has taught us, in my opinion, this is the hard-told truth. Nobody is, because of money or power or status, can become more important than somebody else, isn't it? And I think the church has a great responsibility. And I, as a pastor, I always tell myself, I have a great responsibility to reach out. Thank you. I'll stop with this.
Pastor, Luke doesn't record the person who is not dressed in the banquet dress. In Matthew,
Yeah.
the invited guest will be in a robe.
Yeah.
Here it doesn't
Yeah, that's why I said, which we started saying in the beginning. Luke presents Jesus as a storyteller to everybody, not primarily to the Jews like Matthew, but to everybody, and especially to people in the margins, people who are not Jews, people who are not in the society. So,
This sort of righteous clothes, the Greek won't understand, because mainly keeping in view the Greek community.
naturally, yes. Yeah, Greek and yeah.
Robe of righteousness, which is what Matthew is saying.
That's why that's more a predominantly Jewish audience, where the robe of righteousness would have probably covered a person.
Oh, it needed a Paul to come and tell him that.
But even then, for example, you take even the whole question of the Samaritan story, if you take that, what happens to the robed person? That's what the story is. That's why it's so powerful. Because you wear a robe, you do not go become a good person or can help a bit. Our clothes don't indicate our sense of justice and our sense of equality, isn't it? Yes, brother.
Jesus is identified already with the poor and the downtrodden. Is it not once a person becomes rich, he is not ready to take the gospel? Is it not Jesus is ready to take the gospel to you?
No, Jesus is ready. Yeah.
The poor and the downtrodden.
No, because, yeah, sorry.
Knowing heart, humbleness, even if he is rich, poor is not his identity.
That's why the whole saying of Jesus, it's very difficult for the rich person to go through the eye of the needle.
Natural tendency, once you become rich, you are ready to go to hell. That is the
Not necessary to go to hell, but the rich person will have to, choose to, because the gospel is very radical in my opinion. The gospel of Jesus is too radical. So we may want to domesticate it and make it look very nice today, but it's very radical. That's why it's very difficult. So a rich person, that's why when the rich person comes and says, I have followed the laws, Jesus, I have done everything, but sell your possessions and come and follow me. No, that's difficult. That's why following Jesus, the call to discipleship is a difficult call. 100% it's a difficult call. You are lonely and it is very difficult. It's not according to the norm of the society. Society would say you followed all the laws, all the shastras, so you're a good person, you'll go to heaven. Isn't it? Normally. But Jesus did not say that. Jesus never said that. So following Jesus definitely is difficult for the rich. And how many of them or how many of us will be ready to practice this gospel which is so radical of justice and equality, isn't it? Very difficult. Yes, sir. I hope I've answered your question.
So I think that this is giving an option to become more richer
Yeah.
by giving it a chance to follow.
Possibly. That's one of the, that could be one of the readings.
When we say follow me by doing everything, means that you also make you more richer.
Possibly. Possibly.
What do you think is a little bit of a coming behind me? That may be one of the greatest
Yeah.
opportunities for
But in the text we don't see it that way. Because he goes away, isn't it? He is not willing to do that, what Jesus said. We are imagining that probably he would have done it. Probably yes. But my take is that Jesus, when to connect it both the questions, even when Jesus wants somebody, let's say, to become richer, or the rich to enter the kingdom of God, no problem. But I don't think that Jesus wars for a gospel to make more and more people poorer also. I don't think so. Nowhere Jesus gives an indication that he celebrates the extension of poverty. Where? Tell me, show me where does Jesus show? That's my point.
where there are churches embracing to become poverty.
Yeah.
That is how they will go to heaven.
But at the same time, there is a reading in the New Testament scholarship, for example, to see if Jesus was like a cynic. A cynic is somebody who gives up everything, who doesn't want anything. And I don't think Jesus was also like that. He was with the people. He ate fish, he ate bread. He was with the disciples. He went on the boat. He met the Samaritan woman. He did not exclude himself. I don't think this very ashram kind of life is a very dominant life for me. This is my very personal opinion. That is, Jesus was not an ashramite. Jesus was with the people. He was with the poor. He taught with the people. And I think that's why, I don't know, I find that very attractive. Somebody else here was, yes?
In today's context, when we see our churches, it's much pity-filled. Like, normally the church or the leadership doesn't stand for social justice and equality.
Yeah.
How do we address that as a church?
Yeah. It's a very difficult question. It's also a very uncomfortable question for me, personally speaking. And also now being in the diocesan or in the leadership, it becomes more uncomfortable for me. But I must say that while we may not be able to change everything, our commitment to justice and equality wherever we are, and whatever we can do through our mandate, I think we must be committed to. It's a vision. I said at the beginning, the stories or the parables of Jesus are visions of Jesus. And the church must continue to strive to achieve this goal. I don't think the church, by celebrating prosperity and personality cult, building kingdoms around individuals, this is the future and this is what Jesus did. See, both models are very difficult. I'll be very practical. We are in a church system which is very democratic, which is very open, and these kinds of things, which is also problematic. But at the same time, I'm in Andrews, I move. Prasad is in Christa Krupalaya, and then he moves. These churches are not built around us. But there are also church models which are built around individuals. I'm almost afraid to say that church is known by the pastor rather than the church of Jesus Christ. I'm saying this very openly today. I'm saying out of lot of thought. You ask the believer, he will say, I'm going to that church pastor, and that the church pastor has somewhere taken the role or place of Jesus Christ, which should not happen. And discipleship model of Jesus for me is not the family model of discipleship. I'm very clear about it. If my son or grandson, somebody happens to be in the ministry, is a different thing. But we are also seeing models where discipleship and pastoring models are sons and grandsons and nephews or nieces. I think we need to be very careful. The problem is we are finding this prosperity model we are getting attracted to, and the CSI probably we are so much open and critical and self-assessing. I think that's two different models for me. And it's not an excuse.
Because I find it very difficult because the Senate syllabus teaches us with all the contemporary models of teaching, like social justice, equality, and gender justice, and everything. But where do we stand as a leader?
Yeah.
Because the leadership, I feel that's the failure.
Yeah.
Because we don't try to adapt and
That's
we
true.
don't try to teach the church.
No, it's true.
I feel the scarcity or the in-depthness of that particular topic we do not want to teach.
Surely. I know this is also very, and I'm saying it's a very uncomfortable. When I start with the men's fellowship here, initially there was a lot of, it's not easy, a lot of resistance was there. Because when you say equality, social justice, it's a very difficult thing. Pastor, it's nice to be very spiritualized and say, you'll go to heaven, brother, you'll go to heaven, sister, I can just assure and leave you there. But that's not it. Heaven is all about realizing God's reign today, here, in this world. And we must strive towards that. I know there is a concept, we had another meeting where I openly have acknowledged, definitely we need to acknowledge the failure of our leadership. But failures...
Jesus' model and discipleship model.
Yeah.
Then we have to always rethink about it.
Yeah.
Revisit and rethink.
Surely.
Rethink the text.
Surely, because the Jesus model is a servant model. It is not a model of authority, of hegemony, of power. And the basic thing I find, which Dr. Prasad and me always keep talking, is that the very fact to be even open to criticism, the moment I go into a leadership, I think I can't be criticized. No, I don't think so. This is an opportunity for me to learn, to see if there are mistakes, if there are problems, and I need to move forward. We can't become above the people. No. That is not the Jesus model. Jesus allowed even the evil one to tempt him. Right? He did not yield to temptation. But even the evil one could tempt. The Samaritan woman could talk. The leper could approach. But even there, you can see that the disciples itself were very uncomfortable, right? Many times. The Pharisees were uncomfortable. How can he do that on Sabbath? Oh, no, he can't do. There the rules apply. So Jesus' model is a very real model for us. I fully agree with you. And it's time to, really to think and talk together. Leadership or positions are not some, things of authority. I don't know. I don't subscribe to, but I may not be speaking for everybody. That's all I can say. I can only speak for myself. And Dr. Prasad also was very critical in another forum. So we said, no, we need to think. But the strength of our church, which I'm saying it with a lot of humility and pride, in the Church of South India, you have the possibility or the forum to still speak. This is your and our church, and we can talk, we can deliberate, we can discuss. But whereas churches around personality cults, we don't have this forum. It's almost, one person and then you can't. So I think both needs careful assessment, and there are strengths and weaknesses. Thank you for that.
And when we speak about inequality, we dwell mostly on prosperity.
Yeah.
There are many more inequalities.
I said, yeah. I mean, for the lack of time. Yes.
So when those inequalities like perception, thought, and all is breaking down, I think this inequality about prosperity also maybe.
Surely, because when I said the earlier thing, I spoke about access to advantage, opportunity. I just gave some to everything. It's not only one aspect. That's why we cannot say, economic is only one. The social, cultural dimension. See, this integrated reading only will help us. Otherwise, only economic also will not. Otherwise, we'll never be able to understand, for example, the caste system. Why it plays a role in the whole question of inequality. It's very difficult. But it is real. All put together, gender, how women are deprived of opportunities of equality, very important. And every small thing, we should be able to do that. And we should be, careful in everything that we do. Good. Any other questions, observations? Sorry, you had some observation you had? Sorry. Praveen, you? No. Okay. Thank you. I want to especially thank dear Alex. Alex is a young youth leader of the church. He's the one who is helping us with the online services also. All through and through, he has been there. He's a college final year student. Rakshita is a young person from St. Stephen's Church. She has just joined the staff team. She's on the staff team of Andrews and helping us in this new ventures, even the online and all that. So I want to thank both of you for being there. And Rakshita will come back to, she's on the staff team. So whatever I said, she's going to check. So I cannot do anything that is, not equal opportunity. Yeah, she will have to check. So I want to thank Dr. Prasad again for all the ways, and I want him to continue to be critical and to what, I thought you will have a response, or when you say you can have a, what you are.
Two things I wanted
Yeah.
you to further extend this conversation. Maybe eschatological implications of therapy.
Yeah.
And then kingdom approach. So these two, because these are very important in our ideological and other struggles. You are also mentioning with grace, you are all telling all those things.
Yeah.
So can we have one or two sessions further with this eschatological model and also kingdom model, so that we can.
Yeah, intentionally I didn't do it because, that's a very common reading. I wanted to move away a little to our own Indian attempt to reading. But it's just, broad introduction. And probably if you try it in your own churches, we can come back and discuss further. The kingdom reading or this, these are all, basic readings of the parables. And
what are the activities you want to propose?
Yeah, I said very clearly, the preaching ministry is definitely very important, but don't stay with preaching alone. I'm very, very clear about it. I'm requesting you. The earlier batch also I had said, because some of them, it's become an issue today. And let me be very open. Because they have limited themselves only to preaching and conflict with the pastor. All that is not necessary. Friends, I have a very simple philosophy in life. God has given us a space for everybody in this world. All of us have a space to do God's work. Never think that somebody's space you're taking away, and you will, pastor is there and I have to, so pastor's feeling insecure. Don't waste your time. I'm telling you sincerely. Please do not waste your time on these things. I said preaching ministry is one, teaching ministry, whichever form you have. If you're definitely Sunday school teacher, yes. But even a regular Bible study, because I feel and I believe very strongly that the one thing that can help us during this time is a very careful and regular study of the Word. That is the only thing that's going to help. Because we are very insecure about other churches talking. I'm saying we're wasting our time. So a regular study of the Word, Bible study, is certainly going to be a great help. So that can be another attempt you can do. But definitely in consultation with the pastor. And because, you know, we have been dreaming that this ministry or the lay involvement will go to the next level. I'm looking at a very, bigger way of involvement in the local church. See, and also, unless a local church is empowered, see, a diocese it's broadly there. We're there to do ministry, do programs. But a local church, how it can be involved, empowered, involved in ministry is very, very important. That's very important. And I'm saying this myself, tried it with the men's. See, men, they say women's fellowship Bible study is okay. Men, they say, no, men will not sit. And this has been proved wrong. I'm telling you. We had one of the exciting series on parables, same study. And now I'm doing on Revelation for men only. And women are having their own thing. So, it depends on how, we want to take it forward. There may be different models, online and, studies and all that. But I think people are still looking for a very sincere, genuine study of the Word. There may be Google or, webs. There may be 100 options, but it's very important that a very good, sound teaching of the Word, people will still be part of. Yesterday also, one of families I was visiting, bereavement, and there one of the very prominent members, he was saying, Pastor, I get 10 or 12 services on Sunday morning, but I choose to see only one, because I know that there is sound and proper teaching and preaching from the Word. I don't need to go on searching. It has become a fashion now, no? Go on sending 10 or 12, so finally you will not see anything. It's like seeing our channels. You end up on Sunday doing nothing, only searching for worship service. I don't think these are not good models for us. We must be very clear and what we are doing, convinced about it. And every local church, being empowered is the way forward, even to what the pastor said, for the issues that we're dealing with. I think every local church must be dealing with it and be involved in ministry. I think, and this, Dr. Prasad has given a new emphasis to this model as a director. And I think this is very commendable, and I want to thank him again and take it forward. Thank you once again, and God's blessings.
Thank you very much,
Sorry. Okay, I miss. I didn't see your hand. Shamana, yeah.
ಇಂಟ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದವರಲ್ಲ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಡಯಾಸಿಸ್ನಿಂದ ಅದೇ ರೀತಿಯಾಗಿ ಬೈಬಲ್ ಸ್ಟಡೀಸು ಏರಿಯಾ ವೈಸ್ ಯಾಕೆ ಇಂಟ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಬಾರ್ದು? ಅದರಿಂದ ಕೆಲವು ಜನಕ್ಕೆ ಭಾಳ ಅನುಕೂಲ ಆಗ್ತದೆ ಅನ್ನೋ ಒಂದು ನನ್ನ ಅಭಿಪ್ರಾಯ.
ಅಲ್ಲ, ಬೈಬಲ್ ಸ್ಟಡಿ ಏರಿಯಾ ವೈಸ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ವಾಟ್? ಸಿವಿಲ್ ಸಿಟಿ ಆ ಥರನಾ?
ಆ ಥರ. ಏಕೆಂದ್ರೆ ಅಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲ ಲೋಕಲ್ ಜನರು ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಇನ್ ಕೇಸ್ ಆ ರೀತಿ ಆಗಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಥ್ರೂ ಡಯಾಸಿಸ್ಸು ಯಾಕೆ ನಾವು ಏರಿಯಾ ವೈಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಅನುಕೂಲ ಆಗುತ್ತಲ್ಲ ಅನ್ನೋದು
ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. ಅದು ಐ ಡೋಂಟ್ ನೋ, ಮೈ ಪರ್ಸನಲ್ ಒಪಿನಿಯನ್ ಅಂದು ಸ್ಥಳೀಯ ಸಭೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಬೈಬಲ್ ಸ್ಟಡೀಸ್ ಆಗಬೇಕು ಮೇನ್.
ಸ್ಥಳೀಯ ಆಗಬೇಕು. ಆ ಥರ ಕೆಲವು ಕಡೆ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ಕೆಲವು ಕಡೆ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಆದರೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅದನ್ನು ತಿಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೇಕು, ಬೈಬಲ್ ಸ್ಟಡಿಗೆ ನಾವು ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕು, ಸತ್ಯವಾದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ತಿಳ್ಕೋಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋದು ತುಂಬ ಜನಕ್ಕೆ ಆಸಕ್ತಿ ಇದೆ. ಆದರೆ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅವಕಾಶ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಯಾಕೆ ಅವಕಾಶನ ಬೇರೆ ಕಡೆ ಯಾಕೆ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಡಬಾರ್ದು?
ಅಲ್ಲ, surely we can, Dr. Prasad also can think we can extend it to different ways. I think it's important we do that also to different, and now because of the online we have discovered a new way of doing it. ಹೊಸ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಈಗ ಅಭ್ಯಾಸ ಆಗೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದೆ. But still nothing like a physical meeting. I still feel there are some strengths. I was very happy when he chose that. ಈ ಥರ ಸೇರಿ ನಾವು ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದು. But maybe I don't know if area councils like Civil City, Tumkur, like that they can do. I don't know. That's a possibility we should think. And that is lacking. General Bible study ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು, but I introduced the parables because this could be one easy way to do a series. Parables in Luke, parables in Matthew, ಆ ಥರ Bible studies ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. It's a good idea. Thank you. Thank you.
I think right question Mr. Sham asked to Dr. Dexter, because this is one area because the COVID time it has brought many resources within ourselves and also to the church. In that way, I think we need to explore whatever question finally we ask. And I thank Dexter for the wonderful and graceful talk regarding about understanding of parable. Parable is a very wide subject. We need to take this model very seriously because, as was mentioning, there are two sections in our society. One is the subaltern world, ಅಥವಾ ತುಳಿತಕ್ಕೊಳಪಟ್ಟಂಥ ಜನರಿರ್ತಾರೆ ಮತ್ತು ಮೇಲ್ವರ್ಗದ ಜನರಿರ್ತಾರೆ. ಸ್ವಾಮಿ ಅದನ್ನೇ ಪ್ಯಾರಬಲ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ಅಥವಾ ಸ್ವಾಮಿಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಬಹಳ ಸ್ಪಷ್ಟವಾಗಿ ಹೇಳಿದರು. ಆದ್ದರಿಂದ ಈ ಎರಡೂ ಸಮಸ್ಯೆಗಳು ಇದು ಸಹ ಒಂದು ಹೊಸ ವಿಮೋಚನೆ ಅಥವಾ ಹೊಸ ಒಂದು ಬಿಡುಗಡೆ, ನ್ಯೂ ರಿಡೀಮಿಂಗ್ ಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಅಥವಾ ನ್ಯೂ ಲಿಬರೇಟಿಂಗ್ ಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಅಂತ ಏನಾದರೂ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಇವರ ಕಥೆಗಳು, ಸ್ಟೋರಿಗಳು ಭಾಳ ಇಷ್ಟ. ಉದಾಹರಣೆ ದಲಿತರ ಕಥೆಗಳು ಅಥವಾ ಮಹಿಳೆಯರ ಕಥೆಗಳು, ಇವತ್ತು ನೋಡಿ ಅಪರಾಧಗಳಾದಂಥ ಕಥೆ, ಇದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ನಾವು ಬೈಬಲ್ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ನೋಡಬೇಕು. ಬೈಬಲಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾದರೂ ಈ ಥರ ಬರ್ತವೆ ಅಂಥ ಒಂದು ಸಂದರ್ಭಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ಹೋಗಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಆದರೆ ಬೈಬಲ್ ಓದುವಂಥದ್ದು ಭಾಳ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್. ಇದು ಭಾಳ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಏರಿಯಾದ ಓಪನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟರ್ ಅವರು. ಇಟ್ ಓಪನ್ ಎ ವೆರಿ ವೈಡ್ ಏರಿಯಾ ಆಫ್ ಸ್ಟಡೀಸ್. ಫಾರ್ ವಿ ನೀಡ್ ಟು ಸ್ಟಡಿ ಆಲ್ ದ ಪ್ಯಾರಬಲ್ಸ್. ದಯಮಾಡಿ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಓದಿದ್ರೆ ಒಳ್ಳೆಯದು ಅನಿಸುತ್ತೆ. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಬಂದಾಗ ಈಗಾಗಲೇ ನಾನು ರಿಕ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗೆ ಕಿಂಗ್ಡಮ್ ಪರ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಅಥವಾ ಎಸ್ಕ್ರಿಪ್ಟಲಾಜಿಕಲ್ ಪರ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಅದನ್ನು ಬೇರೆ ಈ ಪ್ರಾಸ್ಪರಿಟಿ ಗಾಸ್ಪಲ್ ಅವರು ಅದನ್ನೇ ಉಪಯೋಗಿಸಿ ಅದರಿಂದನೇ ದುಡ್ಡು ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಆ ಥರ ನಮಗೆ. ಸೊ ಅದರಿಂದ ಅದನ್ನು ನಾವು ಮನಸ್ಸಲ್ಲಿಟ್ಟು ಅದನ್ನು ಮಾಡೋದು ಒಳ್ಳೆಯದು. ಎಸ್ಟರ್ ಅವರು ಲೈಸೆನ್ಸ್ ಕಡೆಯಿಂದ ಏನೇ ಸಮಸ್ಯೆಗಳು ನಮಗೆ ಬಂದರೂ ಸಹ ಅವರು ಅದನ್ನು ಮುಂದೆ ನೋಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ನಾನು ಅಂದ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೇನೆ. ನಮ್ಮ ಮುಂದಿನ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮಗಳು ಈ ಕೋವಿಡಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಕಷ್ಟ ಆಯಿತು ನಮಗೆ. ಕೋವಿಡಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾಕೆ ಕಷ್ಟ ಆಯಿತು ಅಂದರೆ ನಮಗೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ರಿಸೋರ್ಸಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಇತ್ತು. ಹೀಗಾಗಿ ನಾವು ಸೇರ್ಲಿಕ್ಕಾಗಿದೆ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕೇವಲ ನಾವೊಂದು ವಯಸ್ಸಾದವರು ಬೇಡ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ವಿ, 60 ವರ್ಷದ ಮೇಲೆ ಬೇಡ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ವಿ. 60 ವರ್ಷಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇರಲಿ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಒಳ್ಳೆಯದು. ಅದೊಂದು. ಮತ್ತು ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಸೆಷನ್ನ ನಾವು ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಮಾಡೋದು, ಈಗ ಇದಾಗಿದ್ದೇನೆ ನಾವು ಒಂದು 5 ನಿಮಿಷ ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಹೋಗೋಣ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಮೋಹನ್ ರಾಜ್ ಬಂದಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಮೋಹನ್ ರಾಜ್ ಅವರು ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ನಮ್ಮ ಪ್ರಸಂಗ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಇರಬೇಕು, ಕಮ್ಯುನಿಕೇಷನ್ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಇರಬೇಕು, ಇದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ವರ್ಕ್ಶಾಪನ್ನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅದಾದಮೇಲೆ ಮತ್ತೊಂದು ಸೆಷನ್ ಇರ್ತದೆ. ಅದು ಆದಮೇಲೆ ನಾನು ಅದನ್ನು ಕೊನೆಯದಾಗಿ ಕನ್ಕ್ಲೂಷನಲ್ಲಿ ಆಮೋಸನ ಪ್ರವಾದನ ಗ್ರಂಥ ಅಥವಾ ಪ್ರಾಫಿಟ್ ಆಮೋಸ್ ಇವತ್ತಿನ ಬೆಳಗಿನ ಎಲ್ಲ ಟಾಪಿಕ್ಗಳನ್ನು ಮತ್ತೆ ನಾವು ಹಳೆ ಒಡಂಬಡಿಕೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಚಿಂತನೆ ಬರೋದನ್ನು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ನಾವು ನೋಡಬಹುದಾಗಿತ್ತು. ನೋಡೋಣ. ಆಫ್ಟರ್ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಮೋಹನ್ ರಾಜ್ ಸೆಷನ್ ವಿಲ್ ಸಿ ವರ್ಕ್ ಇದಾಗ್ಬೋದಾ? ಬಟ್ ಈ ಹ್ಯಾಡ್ ವೆರಿ ಗುಡ್ ಇಂಟ್ರಾಕ್ಷನ್ ವಿತ್ ಹಿಮ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ವೆರಿ ಗುಡ್ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟೇಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ಪ್ಯಾರಬಲ್. ಇದು ದಯಮಾಡಿ ತಾವು ಓದಬೇಕಂತ ಕೇಳ್ತೀನಿ. ನೀವು ಬೈಬಲ್ನ ಒಂದ್ಸತಿ 2 ವರ್ಷ FMA ಟೈಮ್ನಲ್ಲೇ ನೀವು ಓದಿ ಮುಗಿಸ್ಬಿಡಿ ದಯಮಾಡಿ. ಎಲ್ಲ ಮುಗಿಸ್ಬಿಡಿ. ವೆರಿ ಗುಡ್. ಪ್ರೈಸ್ ದಿ ಲಾರ್ಡ್. ವೆರಿ ಗುಡ್. ಆ ಥರ ಓದಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ನಾವೆಲ್ಲರೂ ಬೈಬಲನ್ನು ಓದಿದಾಗ ಮಾತ್ರ ನಮಗೊಂದು ಯಾವುದೇ ಒಂದು ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡುವ ಸೇವೆಗೆ ಒಂದು ಗ್ರಿಪ್ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ. ಇಲ್ಲಾಂದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲದೆ ಒಂದು ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಏನೋ ಮಾತಾಡೋದು ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ನೋಡಿ ಹೌದು ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಈ ಕಡೆ ಇದೆ. ಮತ್ತು ನಾವು ಒಂದು 5 ನಿಮಿಷ ಮತ್ತೆ ಹೋಗೋಣ. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು.
pulpit terrorism. Pulpit terrorism in the pulpit. Okay? Right. The first one is message and massage. You know both the things. Message means a content, a news, sangati. Massage is, ಮೈ ಹಿಡಿದು ಬಿಡುವುದು ಅಲ್ವಾ? The sermon can be either with massage, but only massage, giving comfort, peace to the people, consolation to the people. Oh, don't worry. He will take care of you. He will bless you abundantly. But at the same time, there should be some message. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸಂಗತಿ ಇರಬೇಕು. ಆ ಸಂಗತಿ ಏನಂತ ಅವರು ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಬರೀ ಮೈ ಕೈ ಉಜ್ಜುವುದರಿಂದ ಅವರು ಸಂತೋಷವಾಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಆಹಾ, ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದೆ, ಇನ್ನೂ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಇಟ್ಕೊಳ್ರಿ ಅಂತ. ಓಕೆ, ಬಟ್ ಮುಗಿದ ಮೇಲೆ, ನೀವು ಪ್ರಸಂಗ ಮಾಡಿ ಮುಗಿದ ಮೇಲೆ ಅವ್ರು ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ಇನ್ನೊಂದು 10 ನಿಮಿಷ ಮಾತನಾಡಿರಬಾರ್ದಾ? ದಟ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ದೇ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ನಾಟ್ ಗಾಟ್ ಎನಿಥಿಂಗ್ ಅಟ್ ಆಲ್. ಇನ್ನೂ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂತ. ಒಳ್ಳೆಯದೇ. ಆ ಪಾಯಿಂಟಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಮುಗಿಸೋದು ಒಳ್ಳೆಯದೇ. ಯಾಕಂದರೆ ಅವ್ರು ಯಾವಾಗ ಎದುರು ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೋ ಆ ಪಾಯಿಂಟಲ್ಲಿ ಊಟ ಮಾಡೋರು ಕೂಡ ನಮಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ಡಯಟಿಂಗ್ ಹೆಂಗಂದರೆ ಇನ್ನೂ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಹಾಕ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೇಕು ಎಂಬ ಭಾವನೆ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಬರುವಾಗ ನಿಲ್ಲಿಸ್ಬಿಡ್ಬೇಕಂತೆ. ಅದೇ ಡಯಟಿಂಗ್. ಅದೇ ಥರ ಮಾತನಾಡುವಾಗ ನೀವು ಮಾತನಾಡಬೇಕಂತ ನಿಮಗೆ ಉದ್ದೇಶ ಇದೆ. ಅವರು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಎನ್ಕರೇಜ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಬೆಂಬಲ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಆದ್ದರಿಂದ ನೀವೇನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಿ, ಇನ್ನೂ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಹೋಗೋಣ, 5 ನಿಮಿಷ 10 ನಿಮಿಷ ಮುಗಿಸ್ಬಿಡ್ತೇನೆ. ಮುಗಿದ ಮೇಲೆ ನೀವು ಹೇಳ್ತೀರಾ, ಈ 2 ಮಾತುಗಳನ್ನು ನಾನು ಮುಗಿಸ್ತೇನೆ. ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಒನ್ ಈಸ್ ಬಾಮ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಬಾಮ್. ಬಾಮ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಪೇಯ್ನ್ ಕಿಲ್ಲರ್. ತೈಲ. ಆ ತೈಲ ಹಾಕಿದ ಮೇಲೆ ನಿಮಗೆ ಆಶ್ವಾಸ ಆಗ್ತದೆ, ಓಹ್ ಪರವಾಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಆ್ಯಕ್ಚುಲಿ ವಾಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಪನ್ಸ್ ಈಸ್ ದ ಪೇಯ್ನ್ ಕಿಲ್ಲರ್ ಈಸ್ ಡೈವರ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಯುವರ್ ಮೈಂಡ್. ಅದೇ ಬಯಲಾಜಿಕಲಿ, ಫಿಸಿಯಲಾಜಿಕಲಿ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದ ಥಿಂಗ್, ಟೆಕ್ನಿಕ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ಬಾಂಬ್. ದಿಸ್ ಬಾಂಬ್, BOMB, ಈಸ್ ಬ್ಲಾಸ್ಟಿಂಗ್. You have to blast the mind of the people who are listening. ಯಾರೆಲ್ಲ ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೋ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಏನಪ್ಪ ಈ ಥರ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ಕೋಬೇಕು, ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಹೌದಾ, ನಾನು ಏನೋ ಅಂದ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀನಲ್ಲ, ಇವಾಗ ಏನೇನೋ ಹೇಳ್ತಿದ್ರಲ್ಲ, ಹಾಗೆ ಅವರು ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಯು ಶುಡ್ ಡ್ರೈವ್ ದರ್ ಮೈಂಡ್ ವೆರಿ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಟಿವ್ಲಿ ಇನ್ವಾಲ್ವ್ಡ್ ಇನ್ ಥಿಂಕಿಂಗ್. ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ನೀವು ಹೇಳೋದನ್ನು ಹಂಗೆ ಒಪ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗೋದು ಸುಲಭ, ಯಾರು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಆದರೆ ಅದನ್ನು ಹೌದಾ ಹಿಂಗೂ ಇದೆಯಾ, ಹೌದಾ ನನಗೆ ತಿಳಿದಿಲ್ಲ, ಇವತ್ತು ತಾನೇ ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ತಿಳಿತಾ ಇದೆ, ಕೇಳೋಣ, ಈ ಥರ ನಿಮಗೆ ಒಂದು ಉದ್ವೇಗ ಬರಬೇಕು. ಸೊ ಬಾಂಬ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಬಾಂಬ್. ಮೂರನೇದು ನಾನು ಹೇಳುವ ವಿಷಯ ಪುಲ್ಪಿಟ್ ಟೆರರಿಸಮ್. pastors are involved in pulpit terrorism. ಚಾನ್ಸ್ ಕೊಟ್ಬಿಟ್ರೆ ಸರಿ, ಬ್ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಮುಗಿದ ಮೇಲೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೈ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಕೊಟ್ರಿ ಅಂದರೆ ಏನರ್ಥ? ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ರಿ, ಖಾರವಾಗಿತ್ತು, ಘಾಟಾಗಿತ್ತು. Let us not involve in pulpit terrorism. Sermon is meant to console as well as guide. ಆದ್ದರಿಂದ ನಾವು ಇದ್ದಕ್ಕಿದ್ದಂಗೆ ಅವರನ್ನು ಅಟ್ಯಾಕ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಬೇಡ. ಪಾಸಿಟಿವ್ ಆಗಿ ಅವರನ್ನು ಹೇಗೆ ನಮ್ಮ ದಾರಿಗೆ, ದೇವರ ದಾರಿಗೆ ಬರ ಮಾಡುವುದು, ಅದನ್ನು ನೀವು ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಇದ್ದಕ್ಕಿದ್ದಂಗೆ ನೀವು ಹೇಳಿಬಿಟ್ರೆ ಓ ಪಾಪಿ ಅಂದರೆ ಮುಚ್ಚಿಕೊಳ್ತಾರೆ ಅಷ್ಟೇ, ಕಿವಿಯನ್ನು ಮುಚ್ಚಿಕೊಳ್ತಾರೆ, ಹೋಗಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ಬಿಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಆದ್ದರಿಂದ ಮೆತ್ತಗೆ, ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಟ್ರೂ ಓನ್ಲಿ, ವಿ ಆರ್ ಆಲ್ ಸಿನ್ನರ್ಸ್, ಬಟ್ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಮೇಕ್ ಇಟ್ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಇನ್ ಅದರ್ ವೇಸ್. ಚಿಕ್ಕ ಮಗು ಒಂದು ವಿಡಿಯೋ ಬಂತು 2-3 ತಿಂಗಳ ಹಿಂದೆ. சும்மா கத்தாத என்கிட்ட சண்டை போடாத, இப்படி நீ சொன்னீன்னா நான் எப்படி உன்னை பார்த்துக்குவேன். இப்போ 2வது ஆடியோ வந்திருக்குது. ஸோ we have to be to employ these communication techniques so that what you say must get into their minds. So with this introduction I want to take up the demonstration. Of course I have given 4 portions to you. I will not repeat that, but I want to take Daniel 3rd chapter 15 to 25. If anyone could come and read it. Daniel chapter 3 verses beginning from 15 to 25. Yes, to help, I want it to be in Kannada as well as Tamil. ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಒಬ್ಬರು, ತಮಿಳಲ್ಲಿ ಒಬ್ಬರು. ಪ್ಲೀಸ್ ಕಮ್. Daniel, 1st chapter, 15 to 25. ಗಮನಿಸಿ.
ಡ್ಯಾನಿಯಲ್ 3ನೇ இப்பொழுதும் எக்காலம், நாகசுரம், கிண்ணரம், வீணை, சுரமண்டலம், தம்புரு முதலான சகலவித கீத வாத்தியங்களின் சத்தத்தையும் நீங்கள் கேட்கும்போது தாழ விழுந்து நான் பண்ணி வைத்த சிலையை பணிந்து கொள்ள ஆயத்தமாக இருந்தால் நல்லது. பணிந்து கொள்ளாதிருந்தீர்களே ஆகில் அந்நேரமே எரிகிற அக்கினி சூளை நடுவிலே போடப்படுவீர்கள். உங்களை என் கைக்கு தப்புவிக்கப் போகிற தேவன் யார் என்றான். ஷாத்ராக், அவசியமில்லை, நாங்கள் ஆராதிக்கிற எங்கள் தேவன் எங்களை தப்புவிக்க வல்லவராயிருக்கிறார். அவர் எரிகிற அக்னி சூளைக்கும் ராஜாவாகிய உம்முடைய கைக்கும் நீங்களாக்கி விடுவிப்பார். விடுவிக்காமற் போனாலும் நாங்கள் உம்முடைய தேவர்களுக்கு ஆராதனை செய்வதுமில்லை, நீர் நிறுத்தின பொற்சிலையை பணிந்து கொள்வதும் இல்லை என்கிறது. ராஜா மேஷாக், ஆபத்நேகோ என்பவர்களுக்கு விரோதமாய் அவனுடைய முகம் வேறுபட்டது. சூளையை சாதாரணமாய் சூடாக்குவதை பார்க்கிலும் 7 மடங்கு அதிகமாய் சூடாக்கும்படி உத்தரவு கொடுத்து ஷாத்ராக், மேஷாக், ஆபத்நேகோ என்பவர்களை எரிகிற அக்னி சூளையிலே போடுவதற்கு அவளை கட்டும்படி தன் இராணுவத்தில் பலசாலிகளாகிய புருஷருக்கு கட்டளிட்டான். அப்பொழுது அவர்கள் தங்கள் சால்வைகளோடும் நிசார்களோடும் பாகைகளோடும் மற்ற வஸ்திரங்களோடும் கட்டப்பட்டு எரிகிற அக்னி சூளையின் நடுவிலே போடப்பட்டார்கள். ராஜாவின் கட்டளை கடுமையாயிருந்தபடினாலும் சூளை மிகவும் சூடாக்கப்பட்டிருந்தபடினாலும் அக்னி ஜுவாலையானது ஷாத்ராக், மேஷாக், ஆபத்நேகோ என்பவர்களை தூக்கி கொண்டு போன புருஷரை கொன்று போட்டது. ஷாத்ராக், மேஷாக், ஆபத்நேகோ என்னும் அந்த 3 புருஷரும் கட்டுண்டவர்களாய் அக்னி சூளையில் நடுவிலே விழுந்தார்கள். அப்பொழுது ராஜாவாகிய நேபுகாத் நேச்சார் பிரமித்து தீவிரமாய் எழுந்திருந்து தன் மந்திரிமார்களை நோக்கி, 3 புருஷரை அல்லவோ கட்டுண்டவர்களாக அக்னியிலே போடுவித்தோம் என்றான். அவர்கள் ராஜாவுக்கு பிரதியுத்தரமாக, ஆம் ராஜாவே என்றார்கள். சாயல் தேவபுத்திரனுக்கு ஒப்பாயிருக்கிறது என்றான். ஆமென்.
ಈಗಲಾದರೂ ನೀವು ಡ್ಯಾನಿಯಲ್ 3:15 to 25. ಈಗಲಾದರೂ ನೀವು ಸಿದ್ಧವಾಗಿದ್ದು ತುತ್ತೂರಿ, ಕೊಳಲು, ಕಿನ್ನರಿ, ತಂಬೂರೆ, ವೀಣೆ, ವಾಲಗ ಮುಂತಾದ ಸಕಲ ವಾದ್ಯಗಳ ಧ್ವನಿಯನ್ನು ಕೇಳಿದ ಕೂಡಲೇ ಅಡ್ಡಬಿದ್ದು ನಾನು ನಿಲ್ಲಿಸಿದ ಪ್ರತಿಮೆಯನ್ನು ಪೂಜಿಸಿದರೆ ಸರಿ, ಇಲ್ಲವಾದರೆ ತಕ್ಷಣವೇ ದಗದಗನೆ ಉರಿಯುವ ಆವಿಯೊಳಗೆ ಹಾಕಲ್ಪಡುವಿರಿ. ನಿಮ್ಮನ್ನು ನನ್ನ ಕೈ ಕೆಳಗಿಂದ ಬಿಡಿಸಬಲ್ಲ ದೇವರು ಯಾರು ಎಂದು ಹೇಳಿದನು. ಇದನ್ನು ಕೇಳಿ ಶದ್ರಕ್, ಮೇಷಕ್, ಅಬೇದ್ನಗೋ ಎಂಬುವರು ರಾಜನಿಗೆ, ನೆಬೂಕದ್ನೆಚ್ಚರನೇ, ಈ ವಿಷಯದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ನಿನಗೆ ಏನು ಹೇಳಬೇಕಾಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಅರಸೇ, ನಾವು ಸೇವಿಸುವ ದೇವರಿಗೆ ಚಿತ್ತವಿದ್ದರೆ ನಮ್ಮನ್ನು ಬಿಡಿಸುವನು. ಚಿತ್ತವಿಲ್ಲದಿದ್ದರೂ ರಾಜನೇ, ಇದು ನಿನಗೆ ತಿಳಿದಿರಲಿ, ನಾವು ನಿನ್ನ ದೇವರುಗಳನ್ನು ಸೇವಿಸುವುದಿಲ್ಲ, ನೀನು ನಿಲ್ಲಿಸಿದ ಬಂಗಾರದ ಪ್ರತಿಮೆಯನ್ನು ಪೂಜಿಸುವುದಿಲ್ಲ ಎಂದು ಉತ್ತರ ಕೊಟ್ಟರು. ಆಗ ನೆಬೂಕದ್ನೆಚ್ಚರನು ಕೋಪೋದ್ರೇಕದಿಂದ ಮುಖಭಾವವನ್ನು ಶದ್ರಕ್, ಮೇಷಕ್, ಅಬೇದ್ನೆಗೋ ಎಂಬುವರ ಕಡೆಗೆ ಬೇರೆ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡು ಆವಿಗೆಯನ್ನು ನಿತ್ಯಕ್ಕಿಂತ 7ರಷ್ಟು ಹೆಚ್ಚಾಗಿ ಉರಿಸಬೇಕೆಂದು ಆಜ್ಞಾಪಿಸಿದನು. ಇದಲ್ಲದೆ ತನ್ನ ಸೈನ್ಯದ ಕೆಲವು ಮಂದಿ ಶೂರರಿಗೆ ಶದ್ರಕ್, ಮೇಷಕ್, ಅಬೇದ್ನೆಗೋ ಎಂಬುವರನ್ನು ಕಟ್ಟಿ ದಗದಗನೆ ಉರಿಯುವ ಆವಿಯೊಳಗೆ ಎತ್ತಿ ಹಾಕಬೇಕೆಂದು ಅಪ್ಪಣೆ ಕಟ್ಟಿ ದಗದಗನೆ ಉರಿಯುವ ಆವಿಯೊಳಗೆ ಹಾಕಿ ಕಾವು ಅತಿ ತೀಕ್ಷ್ಣವಾಗಿದ್ದುದರಿಂದಲೂ ಅಗ್ನಿಜ್ವಾಲೆಯು ಶದ್ರಕ್, ಮೇಷಕ್, ಅಬೇದ್ನೆಗೋ ಎಂಬುವರನ್ನು ಎತ್ತಿ ಹಾಕಿದವರನ್ನೇ ಸಂಹರಿಸಿತು. ಶದ್ರಕ್, ಮೇಷಕ್, ಅಬೇದ್ನೆಗೋ ಈ ಮೂವರು ಕಟ್ಟಲ್ಪಟ್ಟವರಾಗಿ ದಗದಗನೆ ಉರಿಯುವ ಆವಿಗೆಯ ಮಧ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಬಿದ್ದುಬಿಟ್ಟರು. ಆಗ ರಾಜನಾದ ನೆಬೂಕದ್ನೆಚ್ಚರನು ಬೆಚ್ಚಿ ಬಿದ್ದು ತಟ್ಟನೆದ್ದು ತನ್ನ ಮಂತ್ರಿಗಳನ್ನು ಕಟ್ಟಿದ ಮೂವರನ್ನು ನಾವು ಬೆಂಕಿಯೊಳಗೆ ಹಾಕಿಸಲಿಲ್ಲವೋ ಎಂದು ಕೇಳಲು ಅವರು ರಾಜನಿಗೆ, ಅರಸೇ, ಹೌದು, ಸತ್ಯ ಎಂದು ಉತ್ತರ ಕೊಟ್ಟರು. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಅವನು, ಇಗೋ, ಕಟ್ಟಿಲ್ಲದ 4 ನೋಡುತ್ತೇನೆ, ಬೆಂಕಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ತಿರುಗಾಡುತ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಅವರಿಗೆ ಯಾವ ಹಾನಿಯೂ ಇಲ್ಲ. 4ನೇಯವನ ರೂಪವು ದೇವಕುಮಾರನ ರೂಪದಂತಿದೆ ಎಂದು ಹೇಳಿ ದಗದಗನೆ ಉರಿಯುವ ಆವಿಗೆಯ ಬಾಯಿಯ ಬಳಿಗೆ ಹೋಗಿ ಪರಾತ್ಪರರ ದೇವರ ಸೇವಕನಾದ ಶದ್ರಕ್, ಮೇಷಕ್, ಅಬೇದ್ನೆಗೋ ಎಂಬುವರೇ, ಬನ್ನಿ, ಹೊರಗೆ ಬನ್ನಿ ಎಂದು ಕೂಗಲು ಶದ್ರಕ್, ಮೇಷಕ್, ಅಬೇದ್ನೆಗೋ ಎಂಬುವರು ಬೆಂಕಿಯೊಳಗಿಂದ ಹೊರಟು ಬಂದರು ಎಂಬುವಂಥದ್ದೇ.
The portion of the scripture reading is taken from Daniel chapter 3, verses 15 to 25. Now, then, as soon as you hear the sound of the trumpets, oboes, lyres, cithars, harps, and all the other instruments, there is any God who can save you. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered, Your Majesty, we will not try to defend ourselves. If the God whom we serve is not able to save us from the blazing furnace and from your power, then he will. But even if he doesn't, your Majesty may be sure that we will not worship your God, and we will not bow down to the gold statue that you have set up. Then Nebuchadnezzar lost his temper, and his face turned red with anger at Shadrach, Meshach. He commanded the strongest men in his army to tie the 3 men up there and throw them into the blazing furnace. So they tied them up, fully dressed, shirts, robes, caps and all, and throw them into the blazing furnace. Now, because the king had given strict order for the furnace to be made extremely hot, the flames burnt up the guards who took the men to the furnace. Then Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, still tied up, fell into the They answered, Yes, we did, Your Majesty. Then why do I see 4 men walking about in the fire? He asked. They are not tied up, and they show no sign of being hurt. And the 4th one looks like an angel. Here ends the reading.
Yeah. Thank you for the 3 readings. As you begin the sermon, normally what do you do? Prayer? Yeah, in prayer itself you start that pulpit terrorism. It is prayer, but you want to sing a song, the full song. 3 ಚರಣಗಳು ಆಡಿ ಮುಗಿದ ಮೇಲೇ ನೀವು ಪ್ರಾರ್ಥನೆ ಮಾಡೋದು, ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಹೊಟ್ಟೋಯ್ತಾ? ಸೊ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಲಿಮಿಟ್ the introduction and the preparation of the minds of the audience. Okay? Now, this story is well known, and book of Daniel is both. Yakandra, idu Daniel is one of the historical notes. So, it is known as the writing section. Ketuvim என்று அழைக்கிறோம். Ketuvim, that means holy writings. There are 3 portions in the Old Testament. One is Pentateuch, the second one is historical books, and third one is historical books and writings are together. Prophets. Writings ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದ್ಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ, ಸಾಂಗ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲ. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ 2-3, ಒಂದು ಹಿಸ್ಟಾರಿಕಲ್ ನೋಟ್ಸ್, ಎರಡನೇದು ಸಾಂಗ್ಸು ರೈಟಿಂಗಲ್ಲಿ. ಸೊ ಇಟ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಬಿ ಸಮ್ಮರೈಸ್ಡ್ ಇಂಟು 3 ಮೇಜರ್ ಪೋರ್ಷನ್ಸ್. ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಡ್ಯಾನಿಯಲ್ ಬುಕ್ ಈಸ್ ಬೋತ್ ಅ ಪ್ರಾಫೆಟಿಕಲ್ ಬುಕ್ ಆಸ್ ವೆಲ್ ಆಸ್ ಹಿಸ್ಟಾರಿಕಲ್ ರೈಟಿಂಗ್. ಓಕೆ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ದಿ ಮೀನಿಂಗ್ ಆಫ್ ಡ್ಯಾನಿಯಲ್, ಯು ನೋ ವಾಟ್ ಇಸ್ ದ ಮೀನಿಂಗ್ ಆಫ್ ಡ್ಯಾನಿಯಲ್? God is my judge. God is my judge. So he was depending on God as the judge. So come what may, you are the judge. Whatever things comes for us in our life, hurdles, tribulations, whatever, ಎಂದ ಸುಳ್ಳು ಬಂದಾನು, ಯಾವ ಸನ್ನಿವೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ದೇವರನ್ನು ಬಿಡಲ್ಲ, ದೇವರ ವಿಶ್ವಾಸದಿಂದ ನಾವು ಅಗಲಿ ಹೋಗಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ದಟ್ ವಾಸ್ ದ ಡಿಟರ್ಮಿನೇಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ದೀಸ್ 4 people, Daniel and his friends, 3 friends. Okay? Now, the story unfolds. We have taken the first portion and the second, the last portion. But our drama starts when the screen is lifted. What is happening there? These 3 people, Shadrach, Meshach and Abednego, they are replying to the king. ಉತ್ತರ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಉತ್ತರ ಹೇಳೋಕ್ಕೆ ಅವಶ್ಯಕತೆಯೇ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಆಲ್. ಯಾಕಂದರೆ ನಮಗೆ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಗೊತ್ತು, ನಾವು ನಂಬುತ್ತೇವೆ, ನಾವು ಆರಾಧಿಸುವ ದೇವರು ನಮ್ಮನ್ನು ತಪ್ಪಿಸ್ತಾನೆ, ಕಾಪಾಡ್ತಾನೆ, ಖಂಡಿತವಾಗಿ ಕಾಪಾಡ್ತಾನೆ. ಒಂದು ವೇಳೆ 3ನೇ ಸಂಧಿ 17ನೇ ವಚನ ಹಂಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ತದೆ, 18ನೇ ವಚನ ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತದೆ? ಒಂದು ವೇಳೆ ಅವರು ನಮ್ಮನ್ನು ಕಮಾಂಡ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಅದು ಹೇಳ್ತದಲ್ಲ, ನಾರಿಂದ. So they flatly denied, no, according to our belief, we will not bow down to this, whatever the statue height or breadth or the make, golden statue. Okay, தூரா என்கின்ற சமவெளியிலே அதை நிறுத்தியிருக்கிறார்கள். It's a plain. தூரா means played. Then you have to bow down and worship. Down before a statue is a sin, breaking the commandment, right? So they were very determined. They said, come what may. Okay, you have decided to put us into the furnace, right? We are ready. Okay, that was done. They tied the 3 people because they may run, but they tied together and then they took into the mouth of the furnace, and the furnace was already heated 7 times. 7 times. 7ರಷ್ಟು ಅದನ್ನು ಧಗಧಗಂತ ಉರಿಯುವಂತೆ ಅವರದನ್ನು ಮಾಡಿದರು. The thing is, those people, what we call the strong people. Those people took them, and when they were throwing them, they were burnt. ಆ ಬೆಂಕಿ ಅವರನ್ನು ಸಂಹರಿಸಿತ್ತು ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಆದರೆ ಇವರು ಒಳಗೆ ಬಿದ್ದವರು ಅವರು ಓಡಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ಉಲಾವರ್ಗ್ರಾರ್ಗಳು. And there is a fourth person also, very difficult to understand. So king was surprised to ask, did we throw only 3 people? How come that there is a fourth man? And the fourth man is like the Son of God. Son of God. So with this story, I want to extract 3 points. 3 points. First one is undivided faith. Undivided faith. ಅಸಯಾದ ವಿಶ್ವಾಸ, ಅವಿಭಜಿತ ವಿಶ್ವಾಸ. ಅವಿಭಜಿತ ವಿಶ್ವಾಸ, ಅವಿಭಜಿತ, ಭಜಿತ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಡ್ತೀವಲ್ಲ, ಅವಿಭಾಜಿತ. ಸೊ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಅನ್ಡಿವೈಡೆಡ್, ಅನ್ಡಿವೈಡೆಡ್ ಫೇತ್. ಅಸಯಾದ ವಿಶ್ವಾಸ. Idol worship is against first commandment. Golden idol reminded them calf worship. Do you remember in the book of Exodus? யாத்திராகமத்தில் பொன் கன்று குட்டியை வணங்கினார்கள். எப்போ வணங்குறாங்க? Moses went up. Even after 40 days he did not come down. But he with the 2 tablets written on both sides. So he was coming down, and as he was coming down, he was hearing some noise which he could not. What is this noise? He asked. Then they said, oh, they are all celebrating, worshipping the calf, golden calf. Because meanwhile, people were pestering Moses, Aaron, we want some God to lead us. You make. So Aaron suggested, okay, you take out all your golden ornaments, we will make golden calf. Not one calf, I think, calves. Oru kannukutti என்று சொல்லி ஆராதித்தார்கள், which was against the commandment itself. It was not given, but God was always telling them, I am the God, you are my people. So stick on to that faith. But even when Moses could deliver the 2 tablets, they broke it. They broke the commandment. Alva? So Moses got angry, and then he dropped it almost. He broke it into pieces. Here, God wants to come back. You come to me, I will save you. I, the one, have delivered you from Egyptian bondage. ಐಗುಪ್ತ ದೇಶದಿಂದ ನಿಮ್ಮನ್ನು ಬಿಡುಗಡೆ ನೀವು ಆರಾಧಿಸಬೇಕು ಹೊರತು ಬೇರೆ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಬೇರೆ ಯಾವುದನ್ನು ನೀವು ಆರಾಧಿಸಬಾರದು. But now God wants them to correct the mistake. Come to me. So he again goes back to the Mount of Sinai, waits for God to write in 2 tablets and then bring back. Meanwhile, Aaron was asked to burn the golden calf into ashes and made everyone to drink it. Undestroyed faith. ಅಳಿಸಲಾರದ ವಿಶ್ವಾಸ. ಅವಿಭಜಿತ ವಿಶ್ವಾಸ ಎರಡನೇದು, ಅಳಿಸಲಾರದ ವಿಶ್ವಾಸ. Undivided faith. Second point is undestroyed faith. They wanted to destroy the faith of the 3 people, Yavites. to put them into fire. That's all. Khatam ho gaya. They thought. But Valmiki is speaking. Do you remember? Last week, a girl of 19 years in Hathras, Uttar Pradesh, was raped, gang raped, and burnt. Without the permission of the family, she was burnt. And the ashes were collected in a pot, and they wanted to deliver it to the family. The family is not accepting it till today, till this minute. So ashes always, it's a reminiscent, it's the witness for the Monisha. Anything can be detected from that DNA, those things. But they don't want to do that. They want to hush up whatever witness that they have. That is what's happening around us. They want to destroy the witness. From time to Stephen, from the disciple of Stephen till today, they want to burn. Not only Dr. Graham Stein, everybody. Put them into ash, put them into fire. No more. That's all. We want to finish the story. But the story begins from there only. So, any means and ways to destroy it. Okay? So, around. The fourth man was Son of God. God himself comes. Jesus himself comes there to protect and to be in communion in suffering. God always takes care of the people who are suffering. And the third one is undeterred faith. Undeterred faith. Alavatra Vishwasam. Anirdishta Vishwasa. Anirdishta Vishwasa. The liberated journey continues. Because the Son of God is with us. Whatever the suffering is there, through the suffering, God wants to assure us not to leave or not to forget the faith that we began. Who begins the faith? Jesus. I am the one who begins and I am the one who finishes it. ವಿಶ್ವಾಸத்தை ತುವಕ್ಕುಗರವರು ಮುಡಿக்கிறವರುಮಾಗಿ ಯೇಸು ಕ್ರಿಸ್ತ. ಅವರೇ ಪ್ರಾರಂಭ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಅವರನ್ನು ಮುಗಿಸ್ತಾರೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ? So he takes care of the people who believe him. And when we stick on, when we endure things, definitely the promise of God is forever. You can read Isaiah 43:2. Isaiah 43:2. Isaiah 43:2. ಯಶಾಯನ ಗ್ರಂಥ 43ನೇ ಸಂಧಿ 2ನೇ ವಚನ. Yes. ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಚೂರು.
ನೀನು ಜಲರಾಶಿಯನ್ನು ಹಾದು ಹೋಗುವಾಗ ನಾನು ನಿನ್ನ ಸಂಗಡ ಇರುವೆನು. ನದಿಗಳನ್ನು ದಾಟುವಾಗ ಅವು ನಿನ್ನನ್ನು ಮುಗಿಸುವವು. ಉರಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಡೆಯುವಾಗ
even the smell of the smoke will not be there. Trials and tribulations. எந்த கஷ்டமாக இருந்தாலும், என்ன துன்பமாக இருந்தாலும், வாதையாக இருந்தாலும், அதன் ஊடாகவும் நம்மை கடந்து போகும்படியாக அவர் நம்மை காக்க வல்லவராக இருக்கிறார். ஆகவே அத்தகைய கடவுள் மீது நான் நம்பிக்கை கொண்டவர்கள் இருக்க வேண்டும். 2 பேர் அங்கே பார்க்குறாங்க. பார்த்துட்டு, தம்பி இந்த வேலை முடிச்சுட்டு எங்கே போகிறேன்னு. நான் உடனே ஆலயத்துக்கு போகணும், அதனால தான் வேகமாக நான் அந்த வேலைகளை செய்துட்ருக்கேன் அப்படின்னு சொன்னான். அப்போ அவர் கேட்டார், இந்த காலையில் இயேசு கிறிஸ்து எப்படி இருக்கார்? ஹவ் இஸ் ஜீசஸ் திஸ் டே? அவன் கொஞ்சம் நேரம் யோசிச்சுட்டு உடனே சொன்னான், ஜீசஸ் இஸ் ಸೇಮ್ ಯೆಸ್ಟರ್ಡೇ ಟುಡೇ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಟುಮಾರೋ. ಹೌದಾ? ನನಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ವೇ, ನೀವು ಹೋಗಿ ನೋಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬಾ, ಆಮೇಲೆ ನಾನು ಹೋಗ್ತೀನಿ. இந்த 2 பேர் இந்த யார் அவங்க சோல்ஜர்ஸ் 2 பேர் அவங்க கிண்டல் பண்ணுறாங்க. அவன் சொல்லிட்டு போயிட்டான். அந்த ராத்திரியில் இந்த 2 பேரும் தூங்கவே இல்லை. ஏன் இப்படி சொன்னான் இவன்? மறுநாளில் அதே ஆளை கண்டு, நீ சொன்னியே அதனுடைய அர்த்தம் என்ன, எனக்கு தூக்கமே கிடையாது என்று சொல்லி அப்படி கேட்டதுனாலே அவன் இயேசு கிறிஸ்துவை பற்றி சொல்லத் தொடங்கினான். ஸோ தட் இஸ் அ கீ வேர் வி ஆல்வேஸ் ஹாவ் அன் ஆப்பர்ச்சுனிட்டி டு. ஸோ சஃபரிங் இஸ் அ கீ. நேபுகாத்நேச்சர் லாஸ்ட்டில் என்ன சொல்கிறான்? இப்படி தப்புவித்த ஆபத்நேகோ, ஷாத்ராக், மேஷாக், ஆபத்நேகோ இவர்களுடைய தேவனை தவிர வேறு தேவர்கள் இல்லை என்று தன்னுடைய சமஸ்தானம் முழுவதுமாக அதை அறிவிக்கும்படியாக நாம் உண்மை செய்யக்கூடாது. அப்படி எதனா தொந்தரவு பண்ணாங்கன்னு சொன்னால் அவங்கள வெட்டி போட்டுருவேன். This is the promise that God gives us. I am with you till the end of the age. உலகத்தின் கடைசி நாள் வரையிலே நான் உங்களோடு இருப்பேன் என்று சொல்லுகிறார். ஆகினால ஆண்டவருக்கு என்று சாட்சி கொடுக்கின்ற நாம் நம்முடைய விசுவாசம் பிரிக்கப்படாமல் இருக்க வேண்டும், அழிக்கப்படாமல் இருக்க வேண்டும், அது எந்த விதத்திலும் குறையாமல் இருக்க வேண்டும். ஸோ அன்டிவைடட், ಅನ್ಡಿಸ್ಟ್ರಾಯ್ಡ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಡೆಟರ್ಡ್ ಫೇತ್. ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳುವುದಾಗಿದ್ದರೆ ಅಳಿಸಲಾದ ವಿಶ್ವಾಸ, ಅನಿರ್ದಿಷ್ಟ ವಿಶ್ವಾಸ. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್. ಸೊ ಅನ್ಡೆಟರ್ಡ್. ಓಕೆ ಓಕೆ. ಸೊ ನನಗೆ ತಿಳಿದ ಮಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ನಾನು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಸೊ ಇವು ಚರ್ಚೆ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಳ್ಳಿ ಆಮೇಲೆ. ಅಡ್ಡಪಡಿಸಲು ಸಾಧ್ಯವಾಗದು, ಅದು ಉದ್ದವಾಗಿ ಹೋಗುತ್ತದೆ. ಓಕೆ ಓಕೆ ಓಕೆ. ಐ ವಾಂಟೆಡ್ ದಟ್. ದಟ್ಸ್ ವೈ ಐ ಸೆಡ್. Okay, so there should be some alliteration in your subtopics so that it attracts people and screws into the mind of the hearers. That's what I wanted to know. So that they have. Are you ready to be like these 3 people? In what way we are following Jesus Christ? These are the questions, and you have to challenge the people, saying that come what may, we have to stick on to the faith, undivided, undestroyed and undeterred. We'll be always with Jesus Christ. Amen. Thank you. Now there will be a break, and you can, lunch break will be there, and I invite people, volunteers who can take up the challenge of preaching, because writing is easier. Delivery is also easier in the sense there is no connection with the writing and the delivery. But writing, we are expected to be preachers. So we need to deliver it. Deliver. So I invite volunteers, maybe 3 or 4 in each language. And I see many of congregation. ನಿಮ್ಮನ್ನು ಆಯ್ಕೆ ಮಾಡಿ ಯಾವ ಉದ್ದೇಶಕ್ಕೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕಳಿಸಿದರೋ, ನೀವು ಹಿಂದಿರುಗಿ ಹೋಗಿ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಸಭೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಸೇವೆ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಲ್ವಾ? ನಿಮ್ಮ ಸಭೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಸೇವೆ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ನಾಟ್ ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷ್, ನಾಟ್ ಫ್ರೆಂಚ್ ಆರ್ ಸ್ಪ್ಯಾನಿಷ್, ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮಾತೃ ಭಾಷೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಇರಬೇಕು. ತಮಿಳಾದರೂ, ಕನ್ನಡ, ತೆಲುಗು, ಮಲಯಾಳಂ ಯಾವುದಾದ್ರೂ ಆ ಭಾಷೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಅದನ್ನು ಡೆಲಿವರಿ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ನೀವು ಸಿದ್ಧರಾಗಿ ಇರಬೇಕು. ಸೊ ಐ ರಿಕ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ ಯು ಅರ್ನೆಸ್ಟ್ಲಿ ಟು ಸ್ಟಿಕ್ ಆನ್ ಟು ಯುವರ್ ಕಾಂಗ್ರಿಗೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಲ್ಯಾಂಗ್ವೇಜ್. ಆ ಉದ್ದೇಶವನ್ನು ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು. ಸೊ ಐದರ್ ಇಟ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಬಿ ತಮಿಳ್ ಆರ್ ತೆಲುಗು ಆರ್ ಮಲಯಾಳಂ. English will be my last preference, because it is easy to communicate in English, but you have to get it into your mind and deliver it in your mother tongue, in your congregational language. Okay, with these notes I want to wind up. Thank you very much, and we will meet in the afternoon session.